Hey guys, it's Sarah, and I saw on Reagan's channel she did the Reagan Peruse project. I'll have to link it, I guess, down below. And I don't think she was the first one to do this, but she did the Guilty Book Reader tag. And I thought it was kind of a neat tag because as book readers and even as a librarian, I get kind of annoyed when people do things to books, especially my own books. But as a reader, I'm also guilty of a lot of the things that are like frowned upon in the book world. And so there are 10 questions on this tag, and I'm just gonna go through and answer which ones I'm guilty of. All right, question number 1. Have you ever regifted a book that you've been given? I haven't regifted a book that I've been given by like a friend or a family member. But if I get a book from like TLA or somewhere, which it's not really regifting because they're giving them away for free, but you know, any kind of like ARCs or free books, I will give them to other librarians at, like, if it's young adult, at the high school, or I'll take it to the public library and give it to them. But I don't regift books that have been given by people I know. But I don't think I really get a lot of books since they know I go and buy my own books. Question 2. Have you ever said you've read a book when you haven't? Not recently, but I'm sure I have. Oh yeah, I know. In high school, I would say I had read a book, especially if it was a book for class project that I didn't want to read. One that I remember very well was The Scarlet Letter. I read the first couple of chapters and I was not into that book, so I read the Cliff Notes version of it, so I kind of knew what was going on, and I said that I had finished the book, but I have never read that book. And I'll own up to it now, and I'll own up to books that I haven't read now, like a lot of popular books or like classics I haven't read, and I'll say if I haven't read those books or not, but I have said that I have read a book when I haven't, so I am guilty of that. All right, next question, question 3. Have you ever borrowed a book and not returned it? Yes, I am guilty of that. I'm actually probably the worst librarian ever because I'll borrow books from the public library, and I've never not ever returned one, but I'm the person who always gets, our public library sends out emails that says, hey, your book's due, it's been 3 weeks. And I'll be like, whoops, it'll still be like another week before I finally get around to taking it back. So I like borrowing ebooks because then they just like disappear from my Nook when I'm done with them. And I don't have to actually physically go to the public library. It's really not that far away from my house. And if I stick it in my car on my way from work, and then I'll drop it back in their book slot on the way home, that's usually how I return it because it's like on my way home. So I don't really have an excuse. But as far as personal books, I think I have, but it's usually because the person I know have moved away or I've moved somewhere else and I just happen to have the book. But I definitely try to return all the books. Question 4. Have you ever read a series out of order? I don't think I have. I'm trying to think. I'm gonna go look over my bookshelves over here. That's why I'm looking over here, seeing if there's any series. I really don't think I have. I'm very much into reading books in a certain order, and a lot of the books that I'll have, I'll get the first book from the public library, and then I'll love it so much that I'll have to order the second book when it comes out because they won't have it ordered at the public library yet. And so a lot of books on my bookshelves, I have the second and onward in my collection because I'll order them as soon as they come out, but I don't have the first one. But I don't think I've ever read a series out of order because I'm very particular about reading them in order so they make sense. All right, question 5. Have you ever spoiled a book for someone? I'm sure I have. I can't think of a specific time or book, but I know on Reagan's video, she talked about how there needs to be like a certain amount of time until it's not a spoiler anymore. Like the Harry Potter series. they've been out for a long time, and you should be able to talk about what happens, like major characters dying or whatnot. I'm not going to spoil it for anybody, but without you having to say spoiler warning or spoiler alert, because there should be a certain amount of time between when something comes out to when you can spoil it. Same with movies and TV shows. So yeah, and I've had things spoiled for me, so I understand, but that doesn't mean they're still not good. I'm sure I have spoiled it, but I can't think of a specific example. Question 6. Have you ever dog-eared a book? I don't think I have. Maybe back in like high school when I used to have to carry around books to read in English class, or even in college. I was really into writing and highlighting and writing around the edges of them. And I'd write about things I read in the book, and I'd just write random lyrics from songs of bands that I was listening to at the time, so it didn't really have to pertain to it, or maybe the song was in my head or something the book reminded me of it. So I'm more writing in books than I think I am dog-earing, but usually I'll find something to use as a bookmark, and a lot of times it'll just be a receipt or a piece of paper ripped off a corner of it. Because I'm terrible about keeping up with bookmarks. I have a lot of them, and they'll disappear for years at a time, and they'll be like, oh, there's that bookmark, like 5 years later. Oh. Question 7. Have you ever told someone you don't own a book when you do? I don't think so. I don't really know why you would say you didn't own a book, or that you'd own a book when you didn't own it, because then, they could ask you to borrow it. Usually I know if I own a book or not, and I don't lie about that. Or fib, I lie. All right, I'm not guilty of that one. Let's see, what were we on? Question 8. Have you ever told someone you haven't read a book when you have? Probably. I know, I really love the Twilight series, and I think everybody, not everybody obviously, because the series got a lot of hate, but there was a time when it was popular to read the books, and then there was a certain time where it stopped, and then it wasn't popular to have read them anymore or have liked them. And so I might have lied about something like that, but I'm pretty honest that I used to like the Twilight series, and they were some of my favorite books. I haven't read a book when I have. I know I read the first 50 Shades of Grey book. I was not a fan of it, so I don't know, maybe one time I said no, I haven't even read that, but usually I'll just be honest and be like, yeah, I didn't like that book. It was not for me. Haven't seen the movies, nothing. So I don't think I'm guilty of that. All right, question 9, 2 more left. Question 9, have you ever skipped a chapter or a section of a book? Definitely. I sometimes skim. I don't know if I'll skip an entire section of a book, because sometimes it won't make sense, but if I'm forcing myself to finish a book that I'm just not into at all, then I will skim. I'll skim read, and I won't read every single word. So I am guilty of that, but that's usually books that I already know that I'm not a fan of, and I just need to get through, because I don't like to DNF books. And question 10. Have you ever badmouthed a book you actually liked? I think that kind of goes back to the Twilight thing, where some books are popular, but then at a certain time they're no longer popular. And so I'm trying to think if I ever badmouthed a book. Though most of the people I know that are into reading books have read Twilight, and they'll admit they liked them too. So I don't think I've ever badmouthed a book that I liked. I don't know. I probably have been guilty of that, because I'll read some books, I'll be like, oh, it's so sweet and cute, but they won't get very good ratings, or cutesy contemporaries. So sometimes the cutesy contemporaries, I might say that I didn't like it as much as I probably did. But for the most part, I try to be honest, especially now. If I like a book or not, I don't really care anymore that, I read YA, whatever. There's a lot of people that read YA. Go check out the YouTube channels. I don't know why I'm pointing places. I don't know where links are at YouTube. This is my first tag video, so I guess the links are always down below. Anyway, so that ends my guilty reader tag. How many was I guilty of? Maybe half of them? Yeah, something like that. So which ones are you guilty of? Let me know in the comments below. Check out Reagan's videos and any other videos that have done this tag, any other booktubers that have done this tag, and give me a thumbs up if you liked it.